Hello everybody, as you've heard, everything is out about the contract. The contract has been summarized and everything like that. I want to do a summary based on what I feel is going on, and of course you may agree or disagree, and you may not want to watch the whole 40-something minute video, so I'm trying to make this a lot shorter than that. Here is the agreement as someone else has summarized and put it out through there. The first part is just, basically saying that any color is entering into this agreement. Article 1 is defining what each one of the words inside of the agreement mean. 2, it's basically telling you that everything is going to be entered in the agreement between party A and party B, and that everything set forth, everything after this is going to be in between all of the parties. Now, Article 3 in particular texts about everything that involves victory activity, basically being going online, everything that has to do with social media, everything that has to do with all of your when the agreement starts, when the agreement ends, and basically it's saying things like you have to have your the victory activities you do for Nijisanji are where they want you to do it, how they want you to do it, in the place that they want you to do it. It's kind of rough for anybody. Here's where the big meat of the whole situation is, where we find out everything that Nijisanji wants you to agree to when you're in there. The main thing is that they're going to take you 50% of what is made after the fact that YouTube takes a 30% cut. What they're going to be giving you, they're going to be giving you an exclusive fee right here of about 200,000 yen, as shown here, which is about $1,300 for anything that you need. Like if they feel that you don't have the hardware necessary for you to do your job, they can tell you to get one and they can cover you for $1,300. And you have to give it back when the execution of the agreement is done. Basically, when they terminate you, if they terminate you before a certain period, it is theirs. Royalties for anything else, including voice packs, including concerts, including merchandise, including royalties, any of that kind of stuff, it all has to be negotiated with the talent later on. You have the payment method. It can be done through, of course, a bank and things like that. And they're going to be covering your fees, specifically any bank fees, bank transfer fees. It's all going to be covered by them. They have to pay you by the last day of the month following the month that includes the date of execution. Basically, the last day of the month after you sign this contract was the first day that you're going to get paid. And basically, it says that everything, the payment determined upon everything for everything that's done before, including royalties and everything, has to be done the month after, the last day of the month after the agreements were put into place. Now, this part was another interesting one, the actual cost section. This is basically they're going to pay for any transportation costs, any business costs incurred by the talent, whoever it may be. But you need to do it through a invoice within the 14 days after you've done it. And it should be by the 3rd business day of the month following the month that it was done. So if it was done like February 10th, it has to be sent to them by March 3rd. But you incur all of the costs. Article 6 in subcontracting is kind of normal. It's all about making sure that they do not, that you do not enter into any contracts with any third parties without their permission. Basically, they don't want you going rogue and getting your own money separate. That's normal for any company. Companies don't want you to go with a third party if they're already contracted with you. Article 7 highlighted here pretty much wants them to be able to get any kind of information that they want. They make it very vague, and I think it's on purpose. I think it's so that you give them every single thing that they may possibly ever want from you. It could be personal information, it could be doxing information, it could be anything, any information. They make it very vague on purpose so that they can grab anything at any point in time later on. They can change what they want to grab, they can change what they want from you. It's just really bad. All right, Article 8 is just basically saying that you get to meetings, conferences, anything that they want you to go to, you can go to that. That seems kind of bog standard for any kind of organization. If they want you to go to a meeting, they're going to want you to be there, and you have to do that while you're a VTuber or whatever. You just have to do it as quickly as possible. 9 is basically saying that they want you to go through any training that they want you to go through. If you deny the fact that you need to go to training, or you deny the training that they want you to go through, they can reject you and they can just terminate you at any point in time. When they do, if it's before like a year or whatever, they can ask for anything that you got for VTubing, or that what you were paid for, like the fee that was there before, they can ask for it back. That's kind of interesting, but I think that's also kind of standard. This is more, like I mentioned before in my previous video, employees. All this training, all this strictness, it seems more like for an employee versus a contractor. Article 10 is pretty long, but Article 10 specifically just mentions that they can, they're going to be giving you materials. They can give you anything from, promotional materials, any kind of materials that are needed for your work, period, stuff like that. But you need to give it back. You need to give it back to them. You need to, like something specifically for your VTubing activities, like if it's a phone, if it's a computer, that type of thing. But you need to give it back to them if they terminate you at any point in time. If they for any reason see that, things are bad, they're going to terminate you, they want the stuff back, they can request it back from you. And this seems kind of also normal in the whole thing. And if it's loss, damage, if you mess anything up, if you do anything to damage any of their materials, whatever they consider their materials, you have to pay them back. And you have to pay them back by a certain period of time. And you have to do it equal to the repair cost of the replacement or anything of that sort. So that's just another way of them protecting themselves and making sure that you pay them back for anything that they incurred. Article 11 is the next interesting one, a weird one, basically saying that they can, of course, create any accounts for you. They will give you the information to those accounts, and you are responsible for the accounts. If there is mismanagement or if there's anything that's messed up about it, they can remove those accounts from you. They have total control of the accounts from what I'm seeing here. Like they can skinwalk as you like they did with Selen, what's accused of them doing with Selen. They can basically destroy your access to it, take away your access to it, and then get it back for themselves at any point in time, as well as if you get hurt in any way through the social media because of their mismanagement or anything like that, they're not liable for it. And things like if they also make sure to protect themselves in case if it's hacked or they mismanage or anything like that, things that are supposedly quote unquote out of the control, they are not liable for it at all. That is the kind of weird thing that I don't like, but they're making it so that they take away their liability and it all falls on you. Article 12, another bog standard ownership of rights thing, basically saying anything you do under your VTuber avatar, anything that is done by you, whether it be singing, whether it be any drawings, any other activities, things like that, are theirs. It is their property, everything. Even some things you thought were just yours, like you did your own drawings, in your own time, etc. If they want them at any point in time, it is theirs, because you are basically, your IP is their property. So anything you do with your IP is theirs to take and theirs to monetize in any way they see fit. Article 13 is another interesting one. This is one where you can pretty much surmise that that's why they don't keep their play buttons. Basically everything that you get from your VTuber activities, whether it be play button, whether it be any prizes, whether it be any trophies from any Apex tournaments or anything like that, it is no longer yours. It is fully theirs. They can ask for it at any point in time, and they can keep it at any point in time, and you have no legal recourse to get it back. This is why a lot of people aren't receiving their play buttons. Other companies like Hololive do it, but they all get to keep the play buttons. I mean, it's technically theirs, but they decide, heck, the person earned it, so they're going to get their play buttons. Not so with Nijisanji. Article 14 just says that basically if they give you anything that has a defect, anything that has any damage to it, anything that has anything negative to it, they can replace it, and they promise that they will not be giving you things with defects to it. If it gets a defect later on, it is up to you to be replaced. And if you are returning it to them, from what I understand, it's just basically you have to repair the defective item before it's given back to them. And also, if it is found defective, when they give it to you, they can replace it free of charge for you, as if I understand this correctly. All right, Article 15 is all the prohibited actions, all the things you can and can't do. It's pretty much the standard stuff. Anything that's illegal, anything that is morally wrong, anything that's reprehensible. And one thing that I found interesting was here. I mentioned it in my video too. This is Uki Violetta right here. The discriminatory hate speech, remarks, that type of stuff. It is basically saying that you cannot be doing that while you are in Nijisanji, because of the fact that it is going to affect the company negatively. It is going to make them look bad. It is going to give bad impressions of things to these people. And that is what happened with Kyo Kaneko. That is what happened with Uki Violetta. That is what happened with Mirai, the person who got taken out because of the baseball comments. Any of these things they can use against you to get rid of it. The rest of the stuff is basically property right infringement, sending information. Basically, you can't send any of the information to anybody, period. You cannot have that on your VTuber avatar. You cannot have that on your streams. 5 is a bit of an interesting one, where it basically says that, let's see, just continues. The same thing. 5 is down there is what I'm going to be talking about. If they decide that that even under their discretion, if they decide that those things are bad and not good for you, then they are going to take them away and do not disseminate any information that you shouldn't, all that kind of stuff. This one is interesting for me. 6 months after you graduate, you cannot become a VTuber according to this. If I may be mistaken, of course, anybody who knows more about laws, let me know. But I took this as you cannot be a VTuber within 6 months of your graduation or termination of this agreement. Whether your graduation comes after the termination of the agreement or whatever, 6 months you can't do this. Also, it starts mentioning other things like you can't disclose any kind of information. You can't basically say that you were the VTuber. You were this VTuber, blah VTuber, that VTuber, whatever. People can find out through rats. People can find out through other ways. But even people like Sayu did it differently, where he says, my friend, Zaion Lanza. So she never said that she was Zaion Lanza. She never said any of these things. So they can't get her for any of this stuff either, which is very smart on her behalf. Article 16 is another bog standard thing, basically saying they can terminate you at any point. They can make you not be your VTuber at any point. They reserve the right to do that at any point for any reason, which is what basically, it's kind of like a work at will, like what some people say. Companies can do that. Every single company that I've worked for can do that when it comes to contracts. And two, basically, you can forfeit any benefits in time, respect to anything in case if any of the information was false, any information that you gave them was bad, that kind of thing. It's basically all the separate ways that they can terminate you. And it's all at the discretion of party A, which is Nijisanji in this case. And also that they are not liable for any damages incurred by you as a result of any action that you took on any part in this article or anything like that. So they're covering their butts again legally. Article 17 covers any of the penalties that they have. They can take up to 50% of your pay when it comes to of the pay that you get after they already take their 50%. What your pay is, they can take 50% of it for a penalty if they decide to, if you've broken any of the rules that were named up above. 2 is another interesting thing, which is basically saying that they can take all of it. They can take everything. They can just ask for remuneration, which is basically a penalty beside and more pay after that. They can also take damages in excess of the amounts pushed up here. So if they feel like it, they can sue you or request more than you've been paid in the last month, you've been paid in the last 6 months or whatever it is. They can request as much as they want from what I take here, which is very dangerous and very scary if you're going to be a talent for them. Article 18 is a kind of crazy one. This is basically a disclaimer of warranty, basically saying that they will not give you anything. They don't warranty anything right there. They will not help you get anything, like if you're artists or if you want commissions, if you want anything like that. They will not help you get any of that for yourself. You are basically left to the wolves here. But if you do get any benefit from it, they, of course, as I said before, they will take it from you. And it says any of these things that arise between them will be handled by party A, shall be responsible for such matters. They're not liable for anything. They're not liable for your computer breaking down. They're not liable for a freak storm. They're not liable for anything. This right here, around here, is just them washing their hands of any single damage that could have occurred between you and them in the whole thing. It is kind of odd that they would do that, but I guess, it's just them trying to protect themselves. But yeah, even if it was anything between the last 6 months, even if they were responsible for it, from what it seems like right here in the last one, even if they were kind of responsible for it, they'll be limited to only the amount paid within the last 6 months of the time the cause of damage has occurred. So basically, the max that you can ask for is the 6 months. It really is a bad one because this is basically throwing the liver to the wolves. Anything that you want, whether it also be, from my understanding too, things like what Zaion Lanza had mentioned about when they first went into being a VTuber, any of those costs that are incurred through your debut stream, any of that stuff will not be covered by them, they will not be responsible for at all. Article 19 continues the whole thing of maximize profit for minimize help. They're basically making sure that they tell you right here that they are not responsible for any damages. They don't have to compensate you for any damage. They don't have to compensate you for anything. They don't have to help you out for anything. If there are any issues where you have issues between you and someone else, you have to let them know. If there's a copyright strike, they won't help you. If you have a bullying situation, they won't help you. Legally, they don't have to help you. You may have some kind people inside of the organization. You may have a kind liver, a friend, etc., trying to help you. But be careful if it's third party, because then you could get in trouble with them for spreading things about third parties. They're really here washing their hands of you and washing their hands of you if you sign with them. That basically said, you're responsible for everything. If you get sued, you're also responsible for that. They will not help you with any kind of legal representation, any kind of help, even moral support. It seems like that's out of the window too. Article 20 mentions, in the event that you get terminated, what happens. Basically, here, the whole thing is they're making it sure that if you get terminated, but you still had contractual obligations, like you still had to do something for Konami, you still had to do something for a voice pack, you still had to do something for anything that popped up, anything that you were already on the hook for before, you have to finish it. The termination does not mean that you are out of that responsibility. Again, they're trying to maximize their profit. They're trying to make sure that even if you're gone, that voice pack that you were so happy about, that other information that you were so happy about, you have to do it now. You are not protected in any way from getting away from that, even if they themselves are the ones that terminate you, not graduation. 22 goes through basically the term of everything. It basically shall be 2 years from the date of execution. So the normal term for their contracts are 2 years from what this thing says. They may terminate the agreement at any point in time. It's bog standard stuff. We're moving on to the Article 23 amendments here. In the event that Party A amends the agreement, Party B shall be notified with writing of details of the amendment. Basically, you can object to it. Any amendments that Party A does, which is Nijisanji, you can object to the anything that goes on there. But if you don't answer them within 14 days, if you stream, if you tweet, if you do anything under your VTuber avatar, under your VTuber responsibilities, according to this, it says any activity under the program. So it means that anything that's done under all of this stuff, you are going to be... the amendment, you're basically going to be accepting any amendments if you do anything as a VTuber. Or if you just do nothing, you are agreeing to it. So unless you actually send in writing before you do anything, any lives, anything like that, send in writing and they receive in writing that you disagree with things, you're on the hook for it. Article 24, 25, and 26 are basically saying, 24 is basically saying the methods that they're going to communicate with you when it comes to anything there. 25 is basically that you can't transfer this agreement to anybody, not even a third party, not even your mother, father, whatever. You can't transfer it to anybody. It's only between you and them. 26 is basically saying that you are not a part of any anti-social force, according to them, which could be Yakuza, it could be Mafia, it could be just you being an a-hole. You are not going to be doing anything like an a-hole, like harassing, bullying, other things to other people, anything that would make them look bad, anything that would bring bad morality, as it is on the side of Japan, any kind of damage to the business, anything like that. And basically, if you do any of those things, like bullying, hurting someone else, being violent, any of that type of stuff, bribery, any of those things, and they find out about it, or extortion, they can terminate you. They can and will terminate you. Article 27 is basically saying that if anything is found in legal forms like court or anything like that to be unenforceable, they will make it enforceable, and you have to wait for them. Basically, they trying to protect themselves, trying to be lazy in saying that, yeah, we may be messing up about, US laws, Canadian laws, European laws. We're just talking about the laws of Japan right now. We're just doing it in Japan. If we are found to be against any of those laws, of the laws outside of Japan, then we can change it up, and you just have to wait for us. That's what I took from this one. Article 28 basically says that anything that happens after you leave Nijisanji, you're still a part of Nijisanji. You can never leave, pretty much officially. All of these things are going to still be in effect, even if you are terminated, even if you are gone. Every single thing you saw up there, all the more important parts, all the more restrictive parts, all the more parts that make you an employee, you are still bound by them when you are terminated. This is kind of why I think a lot of livers were not saying anything when they were gone. They were staying quiet because they could still be technically sued according to this provision here. And even if it's struck down, they can, as was mentioned before, up in 27, they can change things around in order to make it lawful. So you are screwed in many cases, and they are making it really hard for you to be happy outside of Nijisanji. Basically, you're one of us forever, almost like a way a cult runs. You're one of us forever, and you cannot get away from us. It kind of seems strange that way. 29 is basically saying, the parties that enter the agreement, the things we mentioned before. Party A is Nijisanji, Party B is you. The 30 is saying that this is all about the District Court of Japan and the laws of Japan. The matters of discussion basically saying that if there's any issues within this, they're both going to be going through good faith about what is going to be done in the future and the changes that are done there. a brief summary of everything we've read, just in case if you want the TLDR, is basically Nijisanji gets to decide where the livers do your job, so they can tell you to go somewhere, they can tell you to live somewhere, they can tell you to come to Japan if they wanted to. Nijisanji will only give you about 1,300 bucks or 200,000 yen, whatever is the current rate for that in tech and PC support. And it'll only give it if it feels that you need it. If they think that, oh, your potato PC is enough to run everything that's going on, they're not going to give you any help. You're on your own. Everything is done vaguely for a reason. This is another point that I want to put. Everything is done vaguely for a reason. It's to protect themselves, and they understand that a lot of things that are there are probably going to be unenforceable, but they're going to make it so that they can change it. Whenever you are under Nijisanji, if it's found unenforceable, they can change it to make it enforceable. And the next thing that I want to say is that anything, any money, prizes, your play button, as I mentioned before, your play button, your Apex tournament trophy, any of that stuff, while you are under Nijisanji, is Nijisanji property, and you can be forced to give it to them, even if you don't want to. Even if it is your hard-earned money, your hard-earned trophy, your hard-earned anything, it is theirs for the keeping. They can ask for it, and they most likely will. After that, basically, you can't join any VTuber agencies for 6 months after you are terminated. If you graduate, I guess there is a way for you to negotiate things, but if you are terminated for 6 months, you cannot join any other VTuber agencies. Now, you can go independent. You can go independent. You can kind of do things which I think was Mata.con and other people have done, and Sayu has done. You can go independent, and then you could sign later to be managed as an independent, but not be a part of a company. So basically, you can't join an agency like Hololive, like Face Connect, like Idle.en, like anything like that for 6 months after you've left Nijisanji. Nijisanji is not obligated to help settle any issues. If you have any copyright issues, if you have any other issues arising from disputes with anyone else, they're not going to help you. Legal things, lawsuits, copyright claims, anything, harassment, anything like that, they're not going to help you. They can basically take everything that you've ever made. If they decide that you've broken any rules, if you've damaged them in any way, they can ask for basically you to compensate them with all the money that you've ever gotten, and maybe even more. It's at their discretion. They put it there in the contract. You're basically in their contract forever. Even once you leave, they try to make it in here so that they can come after you legally, even if you leave, even if you're gone, even if things are, supposedly amicably done. You're still bound by that contract. So that's why people are very, very, very scared to speak about Nijisanji, very scared to say anything about their time in Nijisanji, because they're afraid that they can still get sued. You're also they're not going to guarantee you anything. Nijisanji's not going to guarantee you a darn thing. Basically, you can make zero money, you can make a ton of money, they're not going to guarantee you anything. You can have amazing time with artists, you can have no good time with artists. Basically, you're on your own on that end. If you don't sign a contract within 14 days, if you are a VTuber who, tweets, does anything on Facebook, any social media, does anything on YouTube, if you make a video, if you make if your music video comes out, if anything like that comes out, you agreed to everything, every change that's made to the agreement, to the contract. If you don't talk within 14 days, you agree to it as well. And of course, minimum effort for maximum control. They don't try to support you in any way. They do the minimum that they can in all these things they've already mentioned, and they get the maximum profit. They get to get any profit that you have. They get to, basically shaft you in the whole thing. And this is kind of what's crazy about it. That's why it's not really good to go to Nijisanji, from my opinion. So there goes that. Now, of course, this is just how I see everything. I wanted to give you a TLDR near the end so you guys can understand and see what's going on. This, like I said, is the way I see it. This is the way I have seen everything in this whole thing, trying to shorten it up for you guys because the last one was 40-something minutes. I do appreciate you guys. Of course, if you have any more insight on this, let me know. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down below. My socials are down below. Let me know anything that you feel, anything that you want to let me know about, anything that you're curious about, anything like that. I appreciate each and every one of you and all of your help. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.